Hi, everybody. This is your announcement for History 202 for the week of November 18th. Okay, so I'm going to get right into your next assignment. I will be grading your discussion that you did from last week about the Reagan Revolution. So I will get that done, but we're moving on to Module 6, and I'm going to make myself small here, to the end of the Cold War to the 21st century, which is roughly 1992 to the present. All right, so if we go to our, and you should do this every time, your module overview and objectives. We just celebrated the anniversary of this, right? What is this? This is the fall, the beginning of the fall of the Berlin Wall, which eventually would result in the unification of Germany. It was, how many years ago? Okay, I can't do math. 30 years ago, in the past few days, that anniversary was celebrated. Okay, and that was a big deal. It was the end of the Cold War. Okay, so for this week, in Module 6, you are going to read chapters 40 and 41 in the Brief American Pageant. You're going to look at my Module 6 commentary and take the quiz, self-check quiz, and then you're going to do a paper. Okay, this is what we do. Rather than having a final exam in our class, I have assigned this paper for you. Okay, and the objectives for this week are: identify key figures and basic events of the post-Cold War era in a self-check quiz. Write a foreign policy recommendation in a major paper to the President of the United States, applying lessons of recent U.S. history to current international political events. And also reflect on and discuss the most historic events to you in a class discussion. Okay, there is one more module after this. I forgot to tell you that. Okay, so then we click on Next. And this is my commentary, because this is really important to read. This is going to help you to kind of get a history of United States foreign policy. And what I mean by that is the history of the engagements the United States has had with other countries. Okay, and this really focuses on conflict and war. I know there's other types of engagement, but that's what we're going to look at for this module. Okay, so I've got this nice map for you, so make sure you read this. All right, I think it'll be helpful. Then you push Next, and you go to your self-check quiz and take that. And then, okay, this is it. So this is your big project. This will be due on December 5th, okay? So first of all, you want to play, I have this for you, this is really cool. Listen. Okay, so if you don't recognize that, that is the music. You don't hear it so much anymore, but that is what has been traditionally played when the President of the United States walks into a room, okay, for some official function. So anyway, just a little bit of fun for you. It's called Hail to the Chief. Okay, so in this assignment, you're going to imagine that you are a foreign policy advisor to the President of the United States, and he is asked for a thorough analysis of the United States' historical role in international conflicts. So he's asked for your policy recommendation on future U.S. foreign policy toward international conflicts. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit similar to the Cold War assignment, but you're not going to have all those primary source documents to kind of slog through. Okay, so this is a little bit more straightforward. All right, so you're going to write a memo to the President of the United States. So there's two parts to this assignment. Okay, the first part, you're going to give me an historical analysis. Okay, so you're going to review and summarize the history of two conflicts in which the United States was involved from 1947, not before, to 2014. Okay, so you can choose from the Korean War, the Vietnam War, or the wars in Iraq. Okay, so this is our chance to look at more current history. Okay, so pick one of those that you think holds the most significant lessons. That is, what can a president learn and Congress learn? What can our government learn from the history of these conflicts? Okay, so you're going to give me a summary of the two historical conflicts. And then in your summary, in each of the summaries, which has to be, let's see, each of these questions has to be answered with 2 full paragraphs. And I want you to copy and paste each of those questions into your memo so I know what you're answering when. You're going to talk about who were the actors, that is, the countries and or militia groups involved in the wars. Why did the United States become involved in the conflict? Okay, why did the U.S. get involved in this international conflict? And last, what was the outcome? Okay, so you're going to do that for 2 events. You might pick the Korean War and the Vietnam War, or you might pick the Vietnam War and the First Persian Gulf War. Okay, but so for each of those, you answer all 3 of these questions. Okay, now you can use additional sources, but they have to be academic sources. Okay, so you're going to want to use the library research base. Okay, I do not want Googled sources. Okay, you have to go through the database. All right, so I want to try to teach you a little bit about doing some research, which I know we really haven't talked about, but maybe you have in your English 111 classes. Now, every source you use, including our textbook, has to be cited. Okay, that's really important. All right, now, part 2 of your assignment. Analyze and apply the facts. Make a recommendation to the President of the United States on the future U.S. foreign policy toward international conflicts. Take into consideration the lessons that U.S. policymakers can learn from United States involvement in wars throughout its history. Okay, so this part should be a minimum of 3 full paragraphs. All right? So again, you have questions to answer for this. Should the United States become involved in further military action in international conflicts? This is kind of an interesting question right now because we have a president who talks a lot about pulling back from international conflicts, which is different from many of his predecessors. Okay, so this is an interesting time to be talking about this question. Okay, and next, explain the reasons for your answer. You must make at least one reference to each of the conflicts you discussed in part 1. What should the president learn from this history? Okay, so in this part, you're going to tie together from your summary, what are the lessons that the president and the Congress should learn from that history? How does that support your decision, your recommendation, as to whether or not the U.S. should be involved in further military action? Okay, and then lastly, your final thoughts and advice to the president. Okay, so then you click Next. These are your formatting requirements. Okay, now, 1, I want you to write this in the form of a memo. Okay, you may not know what a memo is, which is fine. I've given you a link, I hope it still works, to some templates from Microsoft Office. Okay, any minute they're going to load here, but okay, so you want to use, don't use anything cute like that. This is a good one. Things that are straightforward. Okay, you can use any of these templates for your paper. And I know it's weird because I'm asking you to write a memo, but I'm also asking you to write a paper. Even though it's a memo, you still need to follow the formatting requirements for the paper. Okay, so this is a formal assignment. You have to include complete paragraphs and complete sentences. All right? They have to be submitted in a Word document on the assignment tool. The length requirement is 1,000 to 1,500 words. All right, and I'm trying to remember about how many pages that is. I think it's like 3 to 5, maybe. Okay, you must include a bibliography / works cited page. You must have in-text citations. Okay, that's really super important. And it needs to be in MLA style. Okay, so that's really important that you appropriately cite your sources. You give attribution to the sources of your information. It's not coming from your head, okay? It's coming from the sources. But, okay, let me clarify that because I don't want you to misunderstand. Of course, you are, you're paraphrasing, you're talking about what those sources say, okay? But you have to give attribution to those. All right, this needs to be clearly written. I do not want to see grammatical or spelling errors, all right? Please include your name, your section number, and the date submitted. Section number isn't as important. I think we're all A20. You have to have page numbers and your name on each page. It needs to be written in 12-point font, non-cursive text. It needs to be double-spaced. All right? So then push next. And there is the assignment. Okay, so this is where you upload, I should say upload. This is where you submit your assignment. You'll have this submit bar, obviously. Y'all know that now. Okay, there's our due date, and here is the rubric. Okay, so I will use these criteria to grade your paper. I'll grade on historical accuracy, the accurate use of the evidence, meaning the textbook, all the sources that you might bring in, how clearly do you write your paper, clarity of expression, and critical thinking, okay? Did you make your conclusions, that is your recommendation to the president, was it made logically and was it made based on the evidence? And that is the information that you gave in the summary, okay? All right, so that is what we are doing. And again, this is due December 5th. There's a 24-hour grace period, okay? After December 6th, I will not be able to accept this paper, all right? Okay, so that's where we're at. All right, so you have time to do this assignment well. If you have questions about it, about any aspect of the instructions, please contact me so I can work with you. And I would do that this week because next week is break, and I'm going to take a break too. So I may not be able to get back to you as quickly as I would this week. Okay, so take a good look at all the instructions and let me know if you have questions. All right? So like I said, next week is the Thanksgiving break. Yay, we all get a chance to maybe rest a little bit. And if you have any, like I already talked about questions, I want to wish you a nice Thanksgiving. Okay? And thanks for all the hard work you're doing in this class, you've done in this class. Let's finish strong. I will not post an announcement for next week, but I will come back after the break. Okay, I will see you then. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thanks for watching. Bye.